Or the categories. It's customer service, ambiance, location, price of food, quality of food, location, customer experience. They put them all in a graph chart. What was the number one thing? By far was customer service was 2. Number 1, customer experience. Translate that into how people feel in your establishment is the number one reason by far that they will ever do business with you again, or maybe even complete the business. When you happen to say, have a salesperson out there or a relationship person, how they feel with that person is the number one reason by far. We ought to pay a lot more attention to that. Our people skills. Well, think about your team members. Call them employees. Call them whatever you want to call them. Why would they come back? Do they feel good at your establishment? Do a feel-good check on a scale of 1 to 5. That's a fun little test. 5 being I feel great, 1 being I feel terrible. Right? And just check on people. See what they say. See where you need to improve. So we want to help people feel important. And so what we did a little thing was we would memorize people's names in their pizza. We memorize people's names in their pizza. When people hear their name and they feel important, they're going to come back. And that I just gave you a brain hack. I mean, who would be interested in being better at remembering people's names? Anybody interested in that? Here's a brain hack. There's a part of the brain that really is dormant unless you flip it on. And the reason people forget names so fast is because they don't associate anything. There was a guy that I was sharing a stage with in Houston. And there was like 250, 275 people in the room. He memorized everybody's name. And when he got up to speak, he said everybody by name. Within an hour. Amazing. Don't tell me you can't do this, right? So Thomas will have to come up and name everybody. Okay. Here's the deal. Associate something of favor with that person. Associate something they're interested in. What am I saying? You get to know their story. You know their story, and you're more likely to remember. So we go and memorize people's names. I tell my frontline people to do this, and I'm not sure we can do this, Thomas. Yes, you can. And we memorize people's names in the pizza. So, young lady, right here. What's your name? Catherine? What a beautiful name, Catherine. With a C or a K? Cathry. Erin. I-N-E. Just keep adding things to it, right? That's another brain hack, by the way. Spell their name out. No, when I spell your name out, it'll help me remember their name. Spell it out. If their name is Bob, just get creative, okay? So, Catherine, what's your favorite pizza? Pepperoni. Who's friends with Catherine? Pepperoni pizza lovers. Come on, look at all the friends you're going to have. Catherine, look at this. Look at this. So we would do this, Catherine. We'd see you come in. And we'd say, Catherine, Catherine! Welcome back, Catherine. Put a fresh pepperoni in there. Catherine's back. We're glad to see you. And you would come back for that, am I right? Now, Catherine, some people got scared and never came back. And most people stayed. That's right. But the thing is, we help people feel special. Right? We help people feel special. Now, young lady right here, the beautiful white jacket that's not making eye contact. Yeah, right there. What's your name? Katie. C-K-A-T-Y. That's fine too. People want to buy you. K-I type, Katie, what's your favorite pizza? Like a veggie. Katie's back, everybody. Put a fresh veggie in there. You come back for that, right? See? We have people lines to the door. You think they were saying, go to that pizza place, it's only $2.99. They say, go to that pizza place, they'll memorize your name and your pizza. That's why they came back. And people felt good there. Right? There was 9 stores in that franchise, and we were number 1. And we were number 1. Wow. Helping people feel good. Let me tell you about one gentleman. He came in every Thursday at 3 o'clock. His name was Bob, in fact. And what does a restaurant look like at Thursday at 3 o'clock?
Dead.
I like your attitude, Terry. Now, did somebody say dead?
Yeah.
We're talking about words today. Can we not kill the restaurant? I mean, we're just really. It's not very busy. We could say. So here's the deal. I didn't have to be there Thursday at 3 o'clock. Managers, bosses, owners don't have to be there Thursday at 3 o'clock typically because it's not very busy. Well, I came because Bob was coming in. Now, Bob, he liked a certain type of pizza. Put that screen up there. What type of pizza do you think Bob liked? Just take a guess. I mean, just take a whiz at it.
Beef and onion.
You're brilliant. This is great. So intuitive. Connected and built. Bob liked beef and onion. And my dining room was actually almost as big as this room. It was a huge dining room. And I could see people coming because they had big windows in the back. And I could see Bob coming from a mile because he walked so slow. And Bob, he was an older gentleman, and he had just had a stroke, and the doctor begged him to get into a wheelchair, but he was a prideful man, so they got this cane, and he was just so prideful, nobody could help him, and he would walk about this fast. I really am walking. And he'd finally get to the door. I just have to wait for him to get to the door. He'd open up that door, and I'd yell at the top of my lungs, Bob! Welcome back, Bob. I got your beef and onion in the oven. You would take a seat. I'll bring you some slices. I think people start showing up Thursday at 3 o'clock just to hear me say that. He would do the same thing. He'd work his way into the door. He would point at me like this. He would wave like this. And he'd start walking to his seat. I knew I had time to get that pizza in the oven. You know what I mean? He'd finally get his seat. And he sat in the exact same spot every single week. That's what people do. Sat in the exact same spot. And I'd bring him out his slices. I knew how many slices he liked, like little crispy on the bottom and how he liked them. And I brought them out to him. And he'd say the same thing to me every time. He put his hand on my shoulder, called me Tommy. I said, Tommy, you didn't have to bring me that pizza. I'd have got up and got it myself. Seriously, Bob. It had taken you 2 weeks to get to that. Now, I didn't say that. But I was thinking that. But in his language is saying, thank you, Tommy. It was just saying thank you. But how would you receive that? See, didn't Bob know I didn't have to be there Thursday at 3 o'clock? Didn't Bob know I don't bring food out to anybody else but him? Have you ever been to a buffet restaurant and the owner of the restaurant brought you your food? Have you ever been in that situation? That's customer experience. Would you agree?
Yep.
You see? But to me, he was saying thank you. So how do you receive stuff? So I sat down and got to know his what? Story. I learned that Bob served our country. And I thanked him for that. And if any of you have served our country, thank you. I learned that Bob has some children. He has some kids that he was real proud of. And some kids that stressed him out. And we just talked. Week after week, month after month. Bob was always there. And here's the thing. As he put his hand on my shoulder when it's time for him to leave, and he'd say, Tommy, this is the highlight of my week, he would say. And he was serious. And I kept saying it too, because I recognized, hey, I love coming. I said, Bob, me too, buddy. I love coming here. Weekend, Bob never missed. Go one time. It was a Thursday, he didn't come. I just went on my day, no big deal. It was Friday the next day. We opened up our doors to the public at 11 a.m. I went to the door and I opened up the door, and there was one lady standing there. And it was a lady I'd only met one time, and it was Bob's wife, Linda. Something wasn't right. I said, Linda, what's going on? She said, I'm here to tell you, sorry Bob didn't come in yesterday. I said, Linda, you're so sweet. You didn't have to come and tell me that. She said, I did. I said, why did you have to come? She said, because it was one of the last things Bob said before he passed away yesterday. He said, go tell Tommy I'm not going to make it in today. Now, I was touched in my heart that I'd be on Bob's mind in his last breaths of his life. And I said, Linda, my goodness, what can I do for your family? How can we help? What can we do? She said, there's one more request that Bob made before he passed away. So literally, this man's about to end his days on the earth. And he says, go tell Tommy I want him to carry me at my funeral. He said, didn't request anybody else. I said, Linda, let me understand this right. You want me to be a pallbearer at this funeral? You want me to carry him? She says, that's right. I said, Linda, I don't know if I can do that. I'm the pizza guy. And there was a table right there. And she went to this table and she smacked it as if to crack my stinking thinking. And she says, you hold it right there, Tommy. You didn't know this, that you were one of Bob's dearest friends? You didn't know that? She said, nobody could get on Bob's calendar Thursday at 3 o'clock. You would say, I'm going to see Tommy. The thing is, nobody else knows who Tommy is except me. She says, you're going to come to that funeral because you're going to bring closure to the whole family on who Tommy is. I said, yes, ma'am. And I did. I went to the funeral, and with 5 other beautiful people, we grabbed that casket. It was time to carry this beautiful man, and I learned a lot about him. And we decided when we grabbed that casket, we were going to walk about this fast in honor of Bob. What a good man. All because of some beef and oh boy. I just realized this not too long ago that Bob was so sneaky. He never paid me. Yeah, Bob. Seriously, Bob? Think about all that $3 I lost. I could be in Europe right now with all that $3. I think you got the point already, didn't you? Was it ever about the money? Was it? Was I shown up every Thursday because of the money? Seriously? Hear me loud and clear. You must get beyond the money. We will put in extraordinary effort when it's beyond the money. Because if it was about the money, I never would have showed up Thursday at 3 o'clock. You see, a wise spiritual man, he said this. He said, people, Thomas, they'll work hard for money, but they'll actually work harder for another person or a culture they feel good in. Isn't that interesting that we will work harder for another person we feel good with or a culture we feel good in? And I believe that's why this organization attracts so many people, because it's exciting. You see excitement, you see dreams, you see possibilities, don't you? And the people involved in it are fun to be with. But that's the thing, people work hard for money, but they'll actually work harder for another person or a culture. But it's not the top level. Hear it clear, it's not the top level. They'll work the hardest of all for a cause they believe in. A purpose, a reason. Are you so clear on that, devil? Do you put a cause at the center of everything you do and you wrap it all around, even as in a family sense? Well, I work the hardest as a father because I have a clear cause, or a husband, or a brother, whatever your role means to you, right? So, if you're not going to get clear on it, why are you doing this deal? Why are you doing any deal? I've thought about this for a long time, and it's developed over time, and I recognize that when I'm in business, I came so clear in my cause that if any venture I'm doing doesn't involve my cause, I'm not even interested. It filters it out just like that. You see, what is it? And I'll share that with you. When I was younger, I was in a program called Boy Scouts of America. And we would go on these campouts. There was about 10 boys in our little troop, as we called it. And we had a leader, a scoutmaster, you call him, that was like a drill sergeant in the army. So strict. See, he would take us to these campouts, and we would go about to camp in the area, and he would line us up like for inspection. And he would say, boys, you see the campground right there? Yes, we do, sir. He said, let me be clear. It will look better than we found it when we leave. Do you hear it? And he was serious. That place had to look spick and span. And he elevated our excellence and our standard. And then we could finally go and we made it look beautiful. Well, after a while, he didn't have to ask us anymore. And then he knew we were ready for another level. Because we were pretty proud about the campground we just cleaned up and made it look beautiful. And he said, now you see the campground over there? Yes, we do, sir. He said, go make that look better than we found it. We're thinking, but sir, we didn't stay over there. He says, doesn't matter. I want them to know that Troop 952 was in the house. I want them to know that Troop 952 showed up. And he was serious. So we had to go start cleaning out, and we weren't leaving these sorts of things. And pretty soon we just started cleaning everything. We just started making everything look better. And then he knew he taught us something. It was ingrained in us. We left places better than we found them. Now it's been almost 3 decades since I've even seen this man. But I can hear his blessed voice in my head. And I'm grateful to God for this man because he's helped me develop my cause. And it's this. He's saying, Thomas, you leave people better than you found them. You understand that if that's not involved, I'm not interested at all. It has to involve that component. That's my cause. That's my reason. I will work the hardest of all for that. Well, that's me. That's my work. That's what I do. So get clear on what you're about. Well, we stayed in the pizza business for a season. And then we got into the insurance business. And this was a business I wasn't totally familiar with. And it was time for us to transition, and we knew it. And we had to go take some tests and get some certifications and things like that, a life insurance test. And I took this on a short scale. There's 4 tests and certifications I had to take and pass to be certified to be in that insurance role. I took them 12 times. 12 times. And I'm a pretty competitive guy. And I was thinking about this the other day. Nobody's beat my record yet. Like, I've taken them the most times. Now, why do I tell you that? It's because I've long since developed a muscle. You must develop this muscle too, and it's called the I'm always winning at something muscle. I'm always winning at something. I'm always seeing the wins, the victories in things. Can you see the victories? Let me phrase it this way. Can you identify and celebrate the victories regardless of the score? Regardless of the score. If you're always looking at the scoreboard, you might think yourself a loser. No, really. That's where our winners happen. See, I had the opportunity to play Division I tennis and Division I soccer, and I've coached Division I tennis. And, tennis, we'll play matches against different universities and things like that. And there's a big jumbotron, there's a big screen, and all the tennis scores are up there. I know the score. But I would sit my team down after those matches, and I would go through the whole lineup, and they knew I was going to do this, and I would say, Troy, where did you win today? Blair, where did you win today? Alex, where did you win today? Aaron, where did you win today? Mitch, where did you win today? Brandy, where did you win today? And my whole team would have to tell me where they won. I know the score, but where did you win? Then I would say this, where did you get knocked down? See, all my team was okay to get knocked down, but it wasn't okay to stay down. So I said, where did you get knocked down, and how did you get back up? And they knew I was going to ask that question. They had to be prepared, and then pretty soon, we changed their language into the language of how winners talk. There's a whole language of winners, of those who win. Winners focus on the victories, losers focus on the and I know which one you are already, which one you want to be. But is your language support? Which one is your language supporting? You see this. I'll do this with my daughters, you know that? Most times at the end of the day, I'll say, sweetheart, where did you win today? Tell me about your wins today. And then, sweetheart, where did you get knocked down, perhaps? Well, here, Dad. I said, well, how did you get back up? Well, I did this, because they know in this home, in the Blackwell household, we are winners. And all that means is we focus on the wins. Doesn't mean stuff doesn't happen. This is how did you try it? How did you try it? Well, I got in that business and went 2 years into business, and I was all commission. I don't know if I'm sure some of you haven't worked for all commission. And so it was interesting. It took a lot of effort. And I was working 3 other jobs just to provide for my family. My wife had our first baby at home and a second one on the way, and I was valet parking. I was teaching tennis lessons. I was doing a cold calling telemarketing job at night and working in my all-commission insurance practice. And for 2 years I did that, and all of a sudden after 2 years I was done because I felt like it wasn't working on it. I made $87. I made $87 in a month for the insurance business. $87 in a month after 2 years. That's not a lot of money. I just spoke in New York City a few weeks ago. You can't even get a cup of coffee for $87 in New York City. Kidding. Thank you for believing. So, that's what they say. How do you drink coffee? I don't know what it tastes like, but that's what they say. So, here's the thing. I'm just saying it wasn't a lot of money, right? So, I went to the guy that hired me and said, man, I'm out of here. Are you kidding me? I made $87 last month. I was about to quit. You're done. Throw the towel. And he said, Thomas, you can quit. I said, I know. But let me just be clear about something. You can quit, but the only way you fail is if you quit. Why you gotta say that to me? I'm a competitive guy. But let me be straight about something. How oftentimes do people quit and blame it on everything else and everyone else? He said, no, Thomas, square on your shoulders. If you quit, you fail. The only way you fail is if you quit. I said, I don't think I want to quit anymore then. I said, okay, what do you want to do? And he said, Thomas, I don't think you've made a decision. We don't know how to make a decision. He said, no, I don't think you've made a decision to really go for this thing. See, Ralph Waldo Emerson said it this way. When a decision is made, the universe conspires to make it happen. When a real decision is made, the universe conspires to make it happen. Now, I've shared a lot of stages over the years. And I was sharing a stage in Washington, D.C. As you know, that's our nation's capital. And I was speaking with a gentleman named Steve Harvey. And Steve Harvey had spoken, and I spoke, and then what happens is there's this green room, the place where speakers go when they're not speaking. And Steve told me personally, I got to know his story, phenomenal story. We've done a lot of fun things since then, business-wise, because he's in Atlanta as well. But he told me this, he said, Thomas, most people don't get what they want because they just haven't decided yet. Profound decision. Have you really decided, or are you just toe dipping still, right? Oftentimes people say, oh, that's a little cold. You jump in and see if you drown, and I'll think about it. No, it's the decision makers. You see, at some point, Burl and his team and those people responsible for this event decided, we're going to have an event. And we're going to bring team members in and people, we're going to inspire them and help them, these sorts of things. And I can assure you, it didn't look this big the first time, did it, Burl? Right? But he made the decision to go for it, recognize because you had the vision that it would look like this someday. Isn't that interesting? That's why he's been recognized for his vision. You have to start somewhere. You got to jump in and recognize, give it time. Allow the time to happen. Well, I went for it, really. And my mentor came to me and he said this, you remember this right here. He said, Thomas, you must realize that successful people in any endeavor, they budget their success. Now, when I say successful people, yes, you can think about business. You certainly are involved in business, but I'm successful as a husband, as a wife, as a mother, as a father. Successful people budget their success. What do you mean by that? They will take 3 to 10% of their income and budget it into themselves. So if you make $100,000, they're taking, 3 to 10,000 of that and setting it aside, saying, where can I invest in me this year? Whether it's a seminar, a conference, literature, books, coaching, mentorship. They budget their success. They understand very clearly that they're going to get a return on an investment. ROI, you've heard of this. You know how many people I talk to that are expecting some return and they're never willing to make the what? Investment. It's ridiculous. It's a basic fact. You must put in the investment to get the return. And Warren Buffett, one of the wealthiest people in the world on the planet, said this, the greatest investment you can make is in who? Yourself. Nobody can ever take it from you. Nobody can tax you on it. Nobody can tax you on it. Nobody can take it from you. Nobody can rob it from you like a thief in the night. You'll always have that. You invest in the asset, which is you and your people. If you want your company, you want your life to get better, the people must get better. If you want your family relationships to get better, the people in the family must get better. So he said, Thomas, you're going to go to a seminar. I said, what kind of seminar? I said, the guy, his name is Tom Hopkins, and Tom Hopkins has sold a lot of real estate. I said, well, I'm not into real estate industry. He says, doesn't matter. Remember this, success leaves clues. Success leaves clues. A successful person may not be in your industry, but the habits are the same. The things they do are the same. And he said, you're going to go to this seminar. And I said, is it like a lunch and learn? Like I go and they give me some lunch and I learn. He said, no, it's 2.5 days. 2.5 days. He said, yeah, and it's $1,600. I've never done something like that. He said, yeah, get used to this. Get used to it. Because if you make a $1,600 investment in yourself, what's the return? So Tom Hopkins, you may have heard of him before, he sold 365 homes in 365 days. Amazing, as a realtor. 365 homes in 365 days. And now he just goes around the world and talks about it. That's what he does for a living. But he didn't. He put up the goal to sell 365 homes in 365 days. And the first year he didn't get it. He only got like 187 in 1 year. Show me a realtor who sold 187 homes in a year and see if they're doing okay. In the second year, he didn't get it. He got like 237 in the next year. Didn't hit his goal, but show me a realtor who sold 237 homes in a year and see if they're doing okay. Third year, nil. 365 homes in 365 days. Even he understood effort, winning, vision, right? Just because you don't get it first, you keep going. You get back up. A lot of victories. Well, here's something he said, and I've said this for over 20 years. Every day I say this. Tom Hopkins stood on that stage and he said this. He said, here's a caveat, here's a key for me. He said, I have to have this filter, and it's this filter right here. I commit to the most productive thing possible at every given moment. If you're going to sell 365 homes in 365 days, everything you do has to be productive. There can be no room for distractions. Totally dial in. You have to have that filter. Ask yourself when you're about to do an activity, is this the most productive thing I can do at this given moment? Let me be very clear about something. Sometimes the most productive thing for me to do is sit on the couch and hold my wife's hand and say, how you doing, sweetheart? You understand? Sometimes it's to fire up my riding lawnmower and put a daughter on my knee and say, hey, how you doing? I'm doing it's great. Doing what you're doing. Everything has to have a return. And so I'm here to tell you to stop spending. I'm serious. You stop spending right now and start investing. Everything you do, time, resources, energy, has to be an investment. And you must think you start with the end before you start. What return am I going to get if I put my resources into this? If I put my time, my energy, if I put these words into this? Tom Hopkins changed my world. And what's interesting about this, and that was, this was over 20 years ago. And now, people make billions of dollars on just distracting us, don't they? No, really. There's organizations that are making billions of dollars on just distracting us. And I say distractions equals destruction. On veering us away from the things we want to do. You must be conscious of this, my friends. If it's in line with what you want, do it, participate. If it's not, toss it, change it. Tom Hopkins also said this. He said, you no longer have clients, you no longer have customers, you now only have people you serve. He changed out all his customers, all his clients, in his case, in the real estate world, all his buyers, all his sellers, and he changed them for people we serve. That's how we spoke to them and about them. People tend to ask. He would say, served a family yesterday, helped them get a home, how can we serve you? Now, are you a buyer or a seller? No. He spoke to him. You just feel differently when you speak like that, don't you? How can we serve you? How many people did you serve? Everything changes when you speak like that. I've been seeing that for over 20 years, and things changed for me. I made a decision. I started investing in myself, and interesting enough, I started seeing the return in that investment. Because the month before, I made what? This is just monetary, just data, it's just money, but $87. The next 4 months, it's not all the money in the world, but we made $124,000 in 4 months. Again, not all the money in the world, but I don't know, go put $124,000 in your bank account and see if you're in a better mood. See if your spouse likes you a little bit better. Work for me. No, I'm serious. Sometimes they have to see the proof of what you're dealing with. You know what I mean? And for a long time, we were struggling so much. She had no proof, and it was all on me because I hadn't made a decision yet. Well, we went forward with this, and I became top 5 in a company at 10,000. I had 3 offices, 100 agents, and we doubled that income. So take 124,000. I want you to double that. Think about that number. Just get in your mind. Then I want you to double that number. Get that in your mind. Then I want you to double that number. And I want you to double that number. We did that for 5 years straight. Now I had a multi-million-dollar business. I'm 27 years young. Top 5 in a company out of 10,000. How? Because I made a decision. Because I started investing in myself these basic little things. That you can wipe all that away and I'll do it again and again. In many senses I have. Because I understand the formula. Well, in 2004, the company put me up on the stage, they said, in front of 10,000 people at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, Nevada. Imagine this, 10,000 people in there, and I get the opportunity. They said, come on, and here's how they introduced me. Here's the guy that went from $87 to $124,000 in 4 months. Get on up here and tell your story. I got up and said, you just told my story. What am I supposed to say? They gave me 7 minutes, and I talked about that decision. And it must have affected somebody because I started getting phone calls from people. They started saying, hey, Thomas, will you come out to New York City? We're going to put 1,000 people in the room. We want you to elaborate on how you made that decision. Hey, Thomas, will you come out to Chicago, Illinois? We're going to put 1,500 people in the room. We want you to guide us and train us on how you made that decision. Hey, Thomas, will you come out to Miami, Florida, Alberta, Canada, Toronto, Canada? 3-4 times a month, I'm on a plane going around the United States and Canada, speaking to these groups on how I did that. And then people would come a year later, whatever, and we'd be on a contest in the company that if you did top 100 in the company, you had to go to Hawaii or Greece or Italy or these sorts of places. And I was always top 100, and people would come up to me and they'd say, hey, we're here because we did what you said. And the key was, it's not necessarily what I said, it's they did it. They took action because there was a bunch of other people that weren't there and must not take an action. People make out what you say, but they'll always believe what you do. People make out what you say, but they'll always believe what you do. Big separate. But it turned into something. People started saying something to me. They said, Thomas, you should just start speaking. You should just start going around and speak like this should be your calling. This should be your vocation. Just be a speaker. Because not just our industry, but every industry this could apply to. And they had to build my confidence because I never even knew what that was. Or even dreamed that I even wanted to be something like that. I had no idea this was even an industry. You gotta know that. But I started listening and believing like, wow, it is having an impact. People are bringing me in. And they said, well, if you're going to be a speaker, you got to have a book. You got to write a book. And I said, well, okay, what would I write about? And I recognized that my common theme was we bring about what we talk about. Then I have this radar. No, really, I have a radar that I can tell a person. It's a BS radar, okay? Being transparent. I can tell a person's BS in 60 seconds or less just by how they talk. Now, you all know what BS is, right? Okay. I can appreciate that. I appreciate that. Now, I'm just going to tell you what it is. I know we're probably taping this on, but you got to know what it is. I got to say it because I can tell people's belief system. Why did you laugh so much, man? Were you thinking something different? I'm a little concerned right here. I can tell a person's belief system just by how they talk, where they're going, what's happening. In 60 seconds or less, so I started writing about it. I started writing this book and recognized, and the first title of the book was called Watch Your Language. And then I recognized I wanted to change it because I put it into a story, and then I changed it to The Liberty of Our Language Revealed. And it took me about 10 years to do it. In 2018, we finished it. You've seen it. There it is. It took me about 10 years to write that. Just putting it. Now, I'm curious, who has read this book? Okay. Who still needs to read it? Okay. Good. I like those numbers. But the thing is, if you're going to have something go anywhere, you're going to have a vision. And here's the vision. The vision of my company is, when we started my company, that's called Save to Achieve. When your words and your actions are congruent, you can achieve any summit you want. That's what you see in that little logo in the bottom right corner. But we, as Save to Achieve, we significantly improve the language and mindset of more than 1 billion people worldwide. That's what we're doing. Essentially, we leave people better than we found them. That's what we do. And we absolutely know that if a person will change their language, they'll change the world. And so, again, if you want something to go somewhere, attach a vision to it. If you don't want it to go anywhere, don't have a vision. But that drives us. Now, this book came out in 2018. We started the company Save to Achieve in 2018. And because of that vision, in 2019, I spoke in 12 countries in 12 months on 5 continents. I've been all over the world. I've done, this book is in English, it's in Spanish, it's now being translated into Vietnamese because it was spoken in Vietnam 8 times. Australia 18 times. All over. And what I find is interesting that regardless of the language that you speak, this applies to anybody who uses words on a daily basis. Nobody got up, Burl, that's great. Y'all are using words? Wonderful. Okay. I've given this same talk in South America, in Argentina, at the Pentagon-type building for Argentina, to their general, their leaders, and their colonels, in Spanish. I lived in Colombia for a couple of years, so I speak Spanish fluently, but I've done this all over South America. So, it's interesting that I've found, too, that again, back to the logo, you'll put that up, Say to Achieve, on the bottom right. Look at the logo. You see a little person climbing a summit. When their words and their actions are congruent, you can achieve any summit you want in life. What do we often find? That if someone's saying, I'm going to do this, and their actions are over here, they're not congruent. Or they're working towards it, and their words are not supporting it. But when you line those two things up, you can achieve any summit you want in life. We've proven this. Essentially, here's what we've proven. That when you change your language, you will change your results. You will change your environment, and you will change your life. Fact. And this is why this message just keeps going and going and going and going and going. Because the results are immediate. Who's interested in changing the results immediately, right? Fantastic. Well, let's dive in. Let's go. I want you to be clear about something, that you don't get what you deserve in life. You don't get what you deserve. You get what you expect. And I can tell what a person's expectations are just by how they talk. Just by what they say. Immediately. You're going to tell me what you're bringing on just by how you talk. So what do you expect out of life? Do you expect people to show up? Do you expect people to be nice? Do you expect things to work out for your good? Or not? I can tell just by how you talk. Let me talk about one chapter in the book here. The physical power of our words. The physical power of our words is a foundational chapter. It's very important because words create physical results. You see, there's a gentleman named Masaru Emoto. Masaru Emoto spent the better part of his life studying how words, music, even prayer affect water. He wrote a book called Messages from Water. And what he would do, he would say some certain words, he'd play some certain music to the water, freeze the water, see how the water constructed, essentially, after it was frozen, and took pictures of it, and recognized that different images came from different words, music, and prayer. Let me give you a few of his findings. When it came to music, he played a heavy metal song to the water. And this song was from Japan, and all this was done in Japan. Now, you all know what heavy metal is, right? You know what a heavy metal song is? It's like a loud, rambunctious song, like a really rambunctious song, okay? So he played a loud, rambunctious song to the water, froze the water, and here's the image that came out after he froze the water. Then he played a song called Edelweiss. Edelweiss was made popular by a musical called The Sound of Music. It's a beautiful song. It's an Austrian theme song. He played Edelweiss to the water. Go ahead and turn up that music a little bit because I'll play it for you. Here's how the image came out. Do you see the difference? Heavy metal? Edelweiss? Everybody sees that? Well, fascinating. When it came to prayer, look, he would, I don't know how he prayed, who he prayed to, he's in Japan, but I think we can all agree that he was calling on some higher power to bless the water. So he went to a local lake, scooped up some water from the local lake called Lake Biwa. He just wanted to see what the current status of the water was, so that was the current status of the water after he froze it. Then he and some colleagues blessed the water however they did their blessing. But again, called on a higher power, blessed the water. Blessed Lake Biwa. After the prayer, same body of water, froze the water, look at the image. Dramatic. Now, to me, this gives me new meaning to praying over my food. I don't know about y'all. Like he changed the state of the water by a prayer. Interesting. Then certain words, he would say certain words to the water, freeze the water. Here's what that looked like. The first word he said was evil. Look at evil. If I can invite him a place to you. Then he said love and gratitude. Look at that. Then he said, you disgust me. Then he said, arigato. What does arigato mean? This whole thing was in Japanese, and it means thank you in Japanese. So look at thank you. Look at that beautiful image. Then he said, you fool. Look at you fool. I'm just making a comparison, but that looks like heavy metal to me. Then he said, eternal, or life everlasting. Fascinating. Now, look, all things aside, how many of you are the type like, check it out for yourself type of person? Like, that's great, Masaru Emoto, 40 years of research. I'm going to check this out for myself. Anybody like that? Yeah, be honest. I can appreciate it. In many cases, I can relate to that. So I want to take this into my own hands. So I took 2 glasses of water. And we're living in Virginia at the time, and we homeschool our kids. We're always doing homeschooling projects and stuff like that. So I went to my daughters and I said, look, girls, you know at our house, we don't do vulgarity, we don't do negativity, we don't do all those sort of, we know Dad, you're the words guy. I said, but today, for the sake of science, I'm going to let you let it rip. And they were 8 and 6 at the time, and I'm not even sure if they knew what that meant. But I said, let's come up with some negative words, some stuff you would never say, and I'm sorry in advance, these are pretty nasty words, but I'm going to put them up there. Here's the words they came up with. You can't do it. I hate you. Despair, iniquity, ugly, stupid, jealous, shut up. Stuff you'd never say. And then I said to my girls, now say the words to the water. I did not tell them what faces to make, but look at their sweet little faces cursing that water. And then I said, girls, what's the opposite of negative? You know the answer. What is it? It is. So I said, girls, let's say some positive things. Here's the words they came up with. Faith, hope, charity, I love you. Confidence, powerful, you can do it. I believe in you, beautiful, pretty, you're awesome, divine nature, you're a champion. And then they started drawing pictures of our family. And I thought that was positive. I'll let you guess which one I am. Now look at their faces when they're saying the positive. I didn't tell them what faces to make, but look at their little faces. Isn't that just interesting? And then we had to freeze the water. So I put the negative on the right and the positive on the left. And of course, I separated them by 2 Atlantic pieces of salmon. Which had nothing to do with it, but I did that anyway. In the morning, none of us could have possibly imagined what was going to happen. We opened up the freezer, and things started falling out. What was falling out? I call them pedazos de vidrio. And in Spanish, that means pieces of glass. That jar on the right exploded like a bomb. Boom! Like a tsunami. I carefully chiseled out that block of ice. Look at this thing. It imploded. Boom! Look at the dysfunction of it all. It was ugly, it was stupid, it was jealous, it was everything we told it to be. The positive jar stayed together. Isn't that interesting? Now, one piece of the glass in its whole fell off the front because of the expansion of water. But you can see around that, the jar is still intact around it. And what happened on the inside? A beautiful swirl happened. It became beautiful, powerful, confident, lovely, like we told it to be. Masaru Emoto, 100% right. You should do this. See for yourself. Amazing. And you're thinking, that's great, Thomas. What do I do with this? Well, here's what you do with this, because you might be thinking, well, I'm not a jar full of water. Well, let me just ask a general question. Do you have water inside of you? Anyone? Yeah. Yeah? Does anybody not have water inside of them? They would be DAAD, right? Not alive. How much water do we have inside of us, by the way? How much? Okay, this is where people start throwing out numbers, so let me just say the numbers. If you're going to put, yeah, you're right on. So if you're going to put it in a book, you have to be right. So here's the actual numbers. 78% of a newborn baby in an infancy, toddlerhood, is comprised of water in a child. 78%. You've ever heard this? They're in their formative years, people would say. Well, how we speak to our children, what they listen to, what they watch, is how they develop. That could be either really exciting to you right now or scary. Now, a full-grown man, 65% water. Full-grown woman, 52 to 55% water. The majority of our makeup is H2O. So if it responds these ways, with prayer, with music, with how we speak, do you think we ought to pay attention? Somebody say yes. Absolutely. So here's the thing. How much do we need to pay attention? Because it becomes so real. Now let me explain it this way. On a ship or a big boat, there's always a captain. And the captain's in charge. Whatever the captain says, there's a crew. And the crew obeys the captain 100% of the time. How often? 100% of the time by saying, aye, aye, captain. So if the captain says, hey, crew, I want you to sail towards the promised land, the crew says this. What? If the captain says, crew, I want you to sink the ship, the crew says what? Really? But you're right. They do. There's no disobedience. If the captain says, sink this ship, they will begin to sink the ship. And it's the same with you. You're the captain. You are. And everything that comes out of your commander right here, La Hoca, the mouth, your crew says what? Aye, captain. And I wonder how many people sink their ships on a daily basis by what they say. Oh, it's Monday. Nothing good ever happens on Monday. Aye, captain. We'll make that happen for you, right? We'll be right on it. We'll get right to work. Oh, it's Monday. Great things are always happening on Mondays. I'm always meeting great people on Mondays. Aye, captain. We'll make that happen for you. We'll get right on it. Do you see this? And you start to see the people that are in a lowly state because they're commanding their crew to be in a lowly state. I can never get a sale. I can never get a job. I can't start my roofing company. I can't start. Aye, captain. Oh, great things are happening. I'm always building. Things are getting better every single year and every single day. Aye, captain. This is such a fun phrase. I've spoken to a lot of companies. I was speaking to a company in Dallas, Texas. I spoke to about 6 months ago. And I came back to the second deal a few weeks ago. I was in Dallas, Texas. And one of the workers is a big fabrication shop, a metal fabrication shop. One of the guys in his department, he made this sign. In big, aye, captain. Bring about what we talk about. So everybody knew to remember that to change the culture. I was speaking to a company down in Cape Town, South Africa. And big company, and they sent me a video. Every 10 feet down their hallway is pasted, aye, captain, aye, captain, aye, captain. On the side of their computer screen it says, aye, captain, to help them remember that they're the captains of their destiny. That what they say, they bring about what they talk about. People are doing this everywhere. Afterward, you guys can line up. We're going to give out free tattoos that say, aye, captain. I'm kidding. Haven't seen that one yet. But the thing is, you must have this consciousness that you bring about what you talk about. So let's take this to another level. Dr. David Hawkins, who wrote this book called Power versus Force. It's an amazing doctor, an amazing scientist. But he's basically proven that our words, what we say with the kinesiology of our bodies, is a direct reflect. What that means is, if you say something positive, the body goes strong. If you say something weak, or negative, the body goes weak. Literally. Because it's so aligned. Right? So here's the big question of the day. How do you speak to yourself and how do you speak to others? That's what I want to know. How do you speak to yourself and how do you speak to others? All right, I'm just going to prove this to you. Young man right here. Have we met before? Do you have my book? No? Okay, come on up here. Give him a hand. He's excited. Jansen.